OutDaughtered. Fans react to new photo of Blayke Busby. She's all grown up. The Busby family is no stranger to the spotlight, and their latest family photo has OutDaughtered fans doing a double take. In a June 23 Instagram post, Danielle and Adam Busby gave followers a glimpse of their oldest daughter, Blayke, 14, after picking her up from church camp. The sweet car selfie shows Blayke smiling in the back seat, with Adam behind the wheel and Danielle capturing the moment. Got her baby back from church camp. Feels so great to hug her. Missed her so much, but I know having her go to this camp was so impactful for her soul, Danielle wrote in the caption. The photo marks a striking transformation from the early seasons of the series, where she was first introduced as a young girl alongside her 5 younger sisters. Blayke, who was born in 2011 and turned 14 on April 5th, is the oldest of Adam and Danielle's 6 daughters. Her younger siblings Ava, Olivia, Hazel, Riley, and Parker are all quintuplets. Since OutDaughtered debuted, fans have watched the girls grow up on screen, but the latest photo left many in awe. She's looking so grown up and so beautiful, one fan wrote. Another chimed in, Blayke is your twin, addressing Danielle directly. She's so beautiful, just think before you know it, she will be off to college. They grow up so fast. Another follower commented. Blayke has been in the public eye since she was a toddler, appearing on OutDaughtered alongside her family. The show, which aired 10 seasons on TLC, is currently on hiatus. However, the Busbys have continued to share updates on social media and on their family podcast, More Than Reality. Blayke is preparing to enter high school later this year. In May, Danielle Busby shared a proud parenting moment on Instagram, posting a photo from Blayke's 8th grade graduation with both parents beaming beside her. What a way to yendi not only 8th grade, but the middle school era. I could not be more proud of my girl receiving all A's and B's, but I'm even more proud of the she is holding. The Award for Character Excellence, Danielle wrote. This award demonstrates character, integrity, loyalty, respect, and leadership amongst all the students. To say I'm proud is an understatement. What a true blessing it is to see your baby girl grow into understanding the value of character. Out middle school. This girl is off to high school next. But first, while there's no word yet on whether OutDaughtered will return for an 11th season, fans remain closely connected to the family through their ongoing online presence. It's amazing how quickly time flies, especially when you've watched someone grow up right in front of your eyes. For fans of OutDaughtered, that feeling hit hard recently after a new photo of Blayke Busby started making waves online. And let's be honest, nobody was ready for just how grown up she looks now. For years, viewers have followed the Busby family's journey on OutDaughtered, watching Adam and Danielle raise their 6 daughters, including the only singleton, Blayke, and the famous quintuplets. From the very beginning, Blayke held a special place in fans' hearts. She wasn't just the big sister, she was the calm presence, the helper, the protective sibling, and sometimes even the quiet observer in the middle of beautiful chaos. When the show first introduced us to the Busby family, Blayke was just a little girl adjusting to life with 5 newborn sisters. That alone was overwhelming. Imagine going from being the only child to suddenly sharing your parents and your home with 5 tiny babies who required constant attention. And yet, Blayke handled it with maturity that surprised even longtime viewers. Over the years, fans watched her grow not just physically, but emotionally. We saw her school milestones. We saw birthday parties. We saw moments where she felt left out. We saw moments where she stepped up. Every season added another layer to who she was becoming. So when this new photo surfaced recently, fans couldn't help but react emotionally. The picture itself seemed simple enough. Just Blayke smiling, looking confident, poised, and noticeably older. But for those who've been watching since season 1, it didn't feel simple at all. It felt like a reminder of how much time has passed. Social media quickly filled with comments. She's all grown up. Where did the time go? I can't believe how mature she looks now. She's turning into such a beautiful young lady. And that's the thing about reality TV, especially family-based shows. Viewers don't just watch episodes. They form connections. They feel like they're part of the journey. So when a child on screen grows up, fans feel that change almost personally. Blake's transformation isn't just about height or style or appearance. It represents the evolution of the entire Busby family dynamic. In the early seasons of OutDaughtered, Blake often seemed caught between two worlds. On one hand, she was still very young. On the other, she was expected to be the big sister to 5 babies. That's a heavy emotional responsibility for any child. There were moments on the show when Danielle openly worried about whether Blake was getting enough one-on-one attention. Adam and Danielle both made visible efforts to carve out special time just for her. Those scenes resonated with parents watching at home. It showed that even in the middle of raising quintuplets, they recognized Blake's unique emotional needs. And fans appreciated that. Now, seeing her in this recent photo taller, more self-assured, more independent, it's clear she's stepping into a new stage of life. The little girl who once held her baby sisters carefully in her arms is now developing her own identity. Some fans even commented that she looks like Danielle more and more each year. Others said they see Adam's expressions in her smile. It's interesting how viewers feel comfortable enough to notice those details, almost like extended family members commenting on a niece or cousin. But along with admiration, there's also a touch of nostalgia. Because with every "she's all grown up" comment comes an unspoken truth. Childhood doesn't last forever. Longtime OutDaughtered viewers remember the early chaos, the sleepless nights, the diaper changes, the constant juggling. In those days, Blake was still very much a child herself. She'd play in the background while the adults managed the overwhelming routine of caring for 5 infants. Now, years later, the quintuplets themselves are growing quickly too. And that makes Blake's maturity stand out even more. She's no longer just the big sister. She's becoming a young woman. And that shift can be emotional not just for fans, but likely for Adam and Danielle as well. Parents often say that raising children feels like holding water in your hands. No matter how tightly you try to hold on, time slips through your fingers. One minute they're asking for bedtime stories. The next, they're developing their own opinions, style, and independence. Blake's recent photo seems to symbolize that transition. There's a confidence in her posture, a calmness in her expression. She doesn't look like a little girl trying to keep up with her older siblings. She looks like someone carving her own path. Fans have always admired how grounded she seems despite growing up in front of cameras. That kind of environment can be overwhelming. Millions of viewers analyzing your childhood, commenting on your personality, discussing your milestones, that's not something most kids experience. Yet Blake has always appeared composed. Some fans even pointed out that she seems more private compared to the earlier seasons. As she's grown older, she appears more selective about being in the spotlight. And honestly, that's understandable. As children mature, they naturally seek independence from public attention. That's another reason this new photo felt significant. It wasn't just about appearance. It was about growth, development, change. It's easy to forget how long OutDaughtered has been part of people's lives. Viewers who started watching when the show premiered may have gone through their own life changes to graduations, relationships, careers, parenthood. So in a way, watching Blake grow up mirrors the audience's own passage of time. Maybe that's why the reactions were so emotional. "She's all grown up" isn't just a comment about Blake. It's a comment about time. It's about realizing that the little girl who once nervously started kindergarten on camera is now confidently stepping into adolescence. And adolescence brings new chapters, new challenges, new milestones, new responsibilities. Some fans are already speculating about what the future holds for her. High school, college, career dreams, hobbies, personal interests. Unlike the earlier seasons where her world revolved around helping with the quints, she now seems to be building her own space within the family dynamic. And that's healthy. Being the eldest in a large family often comes with both privilege and pressure. You're the role model, the example, the helper, the one who parents rely on. But you're also still just a kid figuring life out. Blake's growth shows that she's balancing those roles. What stands out most in fan reactions isn't just surprise at her age. It's pride. There's something heartwarming about strangers expressing pride in someone they've never met. But that's the unique bond reality television can create. Viewers saw Blayke navigate jealousy when the Quints were babies. They saw her learn patience. They saw her share her parents. They saw her adjust. And now they see the result of those years of poised, confident young girl stepping into her next chapter. It also sparks reflection on how reality TV captures fleeting moments. Cameras freeze childhood in episodes that can be replayed forever. But real life keeps moving forward. The little Blayke in Season 1 will always exist on screen. But the real Blayke keeps growing. And that contrast can feel bittersweet. For Adam and Danielle, this stage likely brings mixed emotions too. Pride in her independence. Gratitude for her character. Maybe even a little sadness at how quickly the years passed. That's the universal experience of parenthood, whether you have one child or 6. And for fans, seeing this recent photo served as a reminder that while the Busby family story continues, the children at the center of it are evolving beyond the early seasons that introduced them to the world. Blayke is no longer just the sweet big sister adjusting to quintuplet chaos. She's becoming her own person. And judging by the overwhelming online response, fans are here for every step of that journey. As the reactions continued pouring in under the new photo of Blayke Busby, something interesting started to stand out. It wasn't just shock over her physical growth. It was a deeper emotional reflection from longtime viewers of OutDaughtered. People weren't simply commenting on how tall she looked or how mature her smile seemed. They were reflecting on how much she has changed emotionally and how they've witnessed that transformation step by step. From the very first season, Blayke carried a unique emotional weight within the Busby household. As the oldest child of Adam Busby and Danielle Busby, she experienced something very few children ever will, going from being the only child to suddenly having 5 baby sisters at once. That shift alone would be overwhelming for any young child, let alone one whose family life would soon be shared with millions of viewers. Fans remember those early moments vividly. They remember the episodes where Blayke struggled quietly with the attention shifting to the newborn quintuplets. They remember the subtle sadness in her eyes at times, and they remember how her parents tried to reassure her that she was just as important. Those memories are part of why this recent photo feels so meaningful. Because when people say, "she's all grown up," they're not just talking about height or appearance. They're acknowledging the resilience she showed. There's a kind of strength that develops when a child grows up in a large family. Responsibility comes earlier. Patience becomes necessary. Independence builds naturally. Over time, viewers noticed that Blayke developed into someone who often appeared thoughtful and observant. While the Quints brought loud energy and playful chaos, Blayke seemed to carry a calmer presence. That difference became more noticeable as the seasons progressed. As the quintuplets' personalities became louder and more defined, Blayke's role subtly shifted. She wasn't just the big sister. Anymore, she became a steady presence. Someone who could help. Someone who could guide. Someone who had already learned how to adapt. The new photo highlights that maturity. Fans have pointed out that there's a confidence in her posture now. The way she smiles seems self-assured. The awkward little girl energy has been replaced with poise. And while that transformation is natural for any growing child, it feels amplified because viewers have seen every stage. Social media has intensified that feeling. In earlier years, fans had to wait for weekly episodes. Now, updates from the Busby family appear online more frequently, allowing people to see real-time growth. When that photo surfaced, it served almost like a time capsule reminder. Many fans commented that they had to go back and look at old clips to fully process how much she has changed. There's also something uniquely emotional about watching children grow up on reality television. It creates a strange sense of shared time. Viewers measure their own lives against the timeline of the show. They remember where they were when the series first aired. Some were in college. Some were newly married. Some were teenagers themselves. Now, years later, Blayke is approaching stages of life that many of those same viewers have already experienced. It creates a mirror effect. The growth of the Busby children, especially Blayke as the eldest, reminds fans that time doesn't pause for anyone. The babies who once needed constant care are now independent kids. And the little girl who once needed reassurance is now stepping into adolescence with visible confidence. Another layer to the reaction involves the shifting focus of the show itself. Early seasons were centered around survival mode, managing 5 infants, exhaustion, chaos, and adjustment. Blake's emotional experiences were part of that storyline, but often overshadowed by the sheer intensity of raising quintuplets. As the children grew older, the show naturally evolved. School, friendships, hobbies, and personality development became more prominent themes. In those later stages, viewers got to see more of Blake's individuality, her interests, her humor, her bond with each of her sisters. The newest photo seems to capture that individuality in a single frame. Fans have even commented on how she appears more self-expressive now. There's a subtle shift from being the oldest sister in a big family to being her own person. That transition is important. It signals growth beyond family identity. Of course, with that growth also comes awareness. As children get older, public attention can feel different. Many fans gently expressed hope that Blake is able to navigate adolescence with as much privacy as possible, despite the reality TV spotlight. It's clear that viewers care about her well-being, not just her presence on screen. That protective tone in the comments speaks volumes. It shows that fans don't just see her as entertainment. They see her as someone they've grown attached to over years. Some even admitted feeling emotional looking at the photo. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because it triggered nostalgia. Childhood phases are fleeting. When you see a child who once had missing baby teeth now looking poised and mature, it hits differently. There's also a subtle shift in how fans speak about her now. Earlier comments from years ago often described her as sweet, cute, or adorable. The recent reactions use words like beautiful, confident, and graceful. That change in language reflects recognition of her evolving identity. And perhaps that's what makes this moment stand out more than previous updates. It feels like a milestone. Not a birthday milestone or a graduation milestone, but a visual one. The kind where you suddenly realize childhood is transitioning into something new. For Adam and Danielle, this must feel especially emotional. Parents experience growth differently than viewers. They don't just see snapshots. They live every small change daily. Still, even for parents, there are moments when they look at their child and think, when did this happen? The public reaction simply amplified that universal parenting feeling. Blake's growth also shifts the dynamic within the sibling group. As the eldest, she's now entering years where independence expands quickly. Interests become more defined. Friendships outside the family grow stronger. Responsibilities evolve. Viewers sense that shift coming, even if it hasn't fully unfolded on screen yet. The reaction to the photo isn't about losing the little Blake that fans remember. It's about appreciating the journey from that stage to this one. Growth isn't something to mourn, it's something to celebrate. And judging by the overwhelming positivity in the comments, that's exactly what fans are doing. They're celebrating her transformation. They're celebrating her resilience. They're celebrating the young person she's becoming. And maybe, in a quiet way, they're also celebrating the years they've spent watching the Busby family grow together. Because at its core, OutDaughtered has never just been about 5 identical milestones. It has always been about family dynamics, adjustment, love, and change. Blake represents the beginning of that journey. She was there before the world knew the Busby name. She carried the emotional weight of that early transition. Now, as fans look at her newest photo and say, she's all grown up, they're acknowledging a full circle moment. From only child, to big sister of 5, to confident young teenager. It's a journey that unfolded publicly, but the growth itself feels deeply personal to those who followed it from the start. And if this moment proves anything, it's that time may move quickly, but when viewers feel genuinely connected to a family, every stage of growth matters. As Blake steps further into her teenage years, the conversation around her naturally begins to shift. It's no longer just about how cute she is or how sweet she seems. It becomes about who she is becoming. And that's where things get deeper for longtime viewers of OutDaughtered. Growing up in front of an audience changes the way milestones are experienced. For most kids, growth happens within the privacy of family, school, and close friends. For Blake, growth has unfolded with thousands, sometimes millions, watching from a distance. That reality brings both opportunity and pressure. Fans are starting to recognize that transition. In earlier seasons, her role felt defined, the big sister adjusting to 5 younger siblings. But now, that role doesn't fully describe her anymore. The quintuplets are older, more independent, and developing their own personalities. The family dynamic has evolved. And within that evolution, Blayke isn't just supporting the story, she's living her own. Many viewers are curious about what her future might look like. Will she stay involved in the public spotlight as she gets older? Will she eventually step back and seek more privacy? Will she pursue interests completely unrelated to television? These questions aren't rooted in gossip. They're rooted in genuine curiosity and care. One of the strongest themes in fan reactions is respect. People seem aware that adolescence is delicate. Identity forms, confidence builds, and sometimes shakes. Friendships shift. Emotions intensify. Doing all of that publicly requires resilience. In recent updates, fans say they notice a grounded quality in her. She doesn't appear overly influenced by the spotlight. She doesn't seem consumed by attention. Instead, she gives off the impression of someone raised with structure and support. That perception likely connects back to her parents, Adam Busby and Danielle Busby. Over the years, viewers have watched them navigate not only parenting multiples, but parenting responsibly under public scrutiny. They've spoken about boundaries, discipline, and making sure each child feels seen. For Blayke, that foundation may be the reason she appears steady now. Another interesting layer is how the audience has matured alongside her. The people who began watching during the show's early seasons are older now too. Their perspective has shifted. Instead of simply reacting to cute moments, they think about long-term well-being. They talk about mental health. They discuss the importance of personal choice. There's a collective awareness that the next few years will be significant for her development. Some fans quietly express hope that she will always have the freedom to choose her own path. Whether that path includes television, business, academics, athletics, or something entirely different, they want her to have agency. That word agency becomes important in conversations about children growing up on reality TV. When you're very young, your parents make decisions for you. But as you grow, those decisions should gradually become your own. Blayke is approaching that phase. And while fans celebrate her growth, they also seem to understand that her journey may look different moving forward. The tone of reactions suggests admiration more than entitlement. People aren't demanding constant updates. They're simply acknowledging a milestone. She's all grown up, now sounds less like shock and more like recognition. Recognition that childhood has chapters. Recognition that the show itself has chapters. Recognition that viewers, too, are part of that timeline. There's also a subtle shift in how she's perceived within the family dynamic. In earlier years, she was the little girl navigating chaos. Now, she sometimes appears like a young mentor figure. Not in a forced way, but in a natural older sibling way. That transformation is powerful because it reflects resilience. Imagine being a child whose household became nationally recognized almost overnight. Imagine adjusting to 5 babies crying at once. Imagine sharing birthdays, holidays, and everyday routines with cameras present. Then imagine doing all of that while still figuring out your own identity. And yet, from what fans see, she carries herself with composure. Of course, the public only sees fragments. Social media photos and episodes don't show every emotion or every challenge. But what's visible is enough to spark admiration. Looking ahead, many fans wonder how the show itself will evolve as all the children grow older. The early charm was rooted in baby milestones and toddler chaos. Now, the story naturally moves towards school life, friendships, independence, and personal growth. Blayke's recent photo almost feels like a symbol of that transition. The series that began with diaper changes and feeding schedules is now entering an era of teenage milestones. That shift brings new conversations, new challenges, and new opportunities for storytelling. But at the center of it all is still a family. And at the center of that family's original story was a little girl who suddenly became a big sister to 5. Now she's becoming something else entirely, a young woman stepping into her own space. The emotional reaction from fans shows just how deeply people connect to long-term storytelling. When viewers stick with a show for years, it becomes woven into their routine. It becomes comfort. It becomes familiarity. Seeing Blake now reminds them of where they were when they first started watching. It reminds them that life moves forward quietly, steadily, even when we don't notice it day by day. And maybe that's why this simple photo sparked such a wave of emotion. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't controversial. It wasn't shocking. It was simply time passing. Sometimes growth doesn't need an announcement. It doesn't need a special episode. It doesn't need a headline. Sometimes all it takes is one updated picture and a collective realization. She's not little anymore. As the Busby family continues sharing glimpses of their lives, fans will likely keep responding with the same warmth they've shown over the years. The connection feels less like celebrity culture and more like extended family pride. Blake's journey is still unfolding. Her story isn't finished. It's just entering a new chapter. And if there's one thing this reaction proves, it's that people are still watching not just out of curiosity, but out of care. Because sometimes, growing up in front of the world doesn't just show how much a child has changed. It shows how much everyone else